Hi guys, Michael Fights with Friends here. Sorry for a little bit of technical difficulties, but everything should be good here. We are live now. We're going to go through UFC Fight Night 128. We're going to talk about Kevin Lee's dominant performance, and we're going to talk to Angel Guajardo here in just a minute. If we're able to get this Skype thing going. I've had some issues with Skype in the past. I thought I had everything figured out here. So I apologize for the technical difficulties, like I said again, but let me try to call him again here. And I was able to see it ringing when he was calling just a second ago, and I wasn't able to pick up. So that's a little frustrating. Okay, now he's calling. Let's see it. Okay, now we got. Hello, Angel. How you doing? You're on Fights with Friends. And Hector, what's going on, man? Congratulations on the win.
How are you?
I'm doing good, man. That's a nice belt. It looks good on you, brother.
Yeah, thank you, brother. Just training harder and harder, you know.
You made some big jumps in your game since the last fight. I seen you. Your stance looked different. Your takedown defense is better. What was different? Is anything different in training, or just continuing to work the basics?
No, we changed the strategy because we know that he was going for the takedowns, you know. So I have to keep my distance so I can spread those takedowns.
Yeah, well, you did your fight before that. I watched. You did good. I thought you won two, if not three, of the last rounds. This time you won all 5 rounds. I was watching and I said he won all 5 rounds, no doubt. And I was happy. 2 of the 3 judges agreed with me. 2 of the judges, for some reason, gave him 2 rounds. I didn't really see that, but it was a good win. And yeah, you got a belt now. So how does this work here in Cage Wars? Do you go professional now? Do you defend the belt some?
No, I have to defend the title like 3 times so I can go pro, you know. I have to defend the amateur title 3, 4 times, and then I'm gonna go pro.
Your boxing's very good. You can tell you started with a boxing base. Did you have some
Yeah.
boxing matches before?
Yeah, in Mexico. In Mexico. Yeah,
Oh,
like 5 years ago, 6 years ago, and then we start MMA.
yeah. It seems like you really your stance was different this time than in your last stance in your last fights too. Even your last fight before, you had more of a boxer looking stance. This one, you had more like a karate stance. You had a wider stance. I noticed your hands were open more often when you were
Mm-hmm.
standing. So all that hard work's paying off. It wasn't a whole long time in
Yeah,
between
yeah.
fights. You made
Train hard.
big progressions.
Yeah, my bro is gonna fight on May 12th, you know, a boxing match.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, definitely. We want to watch that too. Yeah, we'll talk about that here soon. Your team. How many guys do you train with on your team?
we are like 6 fighters right now. There's some good fighters over there, you know. We train hard every day and no rest. Right now, we're heading to the gym, and I'm all sore, you know, from yesterday.
Yeah.
But
Oh, I'm sure.
yeah, those kicks, man, damn, they
I'm
went good.
that's about all he was able to land with you on the kicks and those takedown attempts, man. You seen him coming a mile away. It's your takedown defense. You stuffed him. You were right on top of him, and there was nothing there. So
Yeah,
that
but
was
I keep that passion, you know, because I train with my brother for the Sprouts because he found my brother before, you know.
oh really?
Yeah, he fought my brother before. He was I think my brother went 2 rounds and he get one, but they still my brother that fight, you know. But it's all good. It's all good. We get him back.
Yeah, well, I mean, you looked absolutely dominative. Um, so your brother, we'll go over your brother here in a minute. May 12th in boxing. Any idea when you're going to be fighting next?
Yeah, on September I'm gonna defend the title.
We are both planning to fight together, you know, together September. We always do it together. So I don't know. This time we were gonna take a little break or something, you know. But they offer him the title, so he got it, you know. So he had to take it, you know.
Oh yeah, definitely, definitely. That's great. The boxing match then, Angel, May 12th. Um, who's it against? And
I don't know much yet as of right now, but I'll find out. I'll try to find out today about more about the fight, you know, about his record, name, and everything. So I don't even know that much, but I'll get some information today.
okay, you don't care. You guys will just fight anybody, anytime, anywhere. It's like we don't care what their name is.
Yeah, so
Ready?
we always fighting, you know. So yeah, that's what we want to do together. You know, we always do it together. So we fight together. This time is the only time that my brother fought by himself. You know, without me fighting. You know, in the same car. You know, so yeah, and in the boxing he's not fighting. So I'm just fighting. But next MMA fight we'll fight together.
Well, that's really great. You guys are able to do that and able to train each other and have each other. That's got to be a huge advantage.
Yeah, so right now we are on the same weight class, you know. But I want since he has the belt already, I think I'm gonna move to 125, you know.
Yeah, you don't want to fight each other. That wouldn't be good.
No, we don't want to do that, you know. So I better move on, you know.
Yeah, yeah. How
I'm gonna get that 125 title, bro.
how
Two
are you?
champions.
That would be great. Are you guys usually real close to the same weight? Or are you gonna have to drop much to get to 125?
I actually walk around like 142, and he's actually a little bit heavier than me. But yeah, I think I never made 125 before, but I'm sure I'll make it. You know, hard work. I have to do it.
Yeah, that's not the worst drop. I mean, that's 17 pounds. That's a decent drop, but you have a good camp. Yeah, you can do it. That's definitely doable.
Yeah,
So
yeah, I'll do it. I'll do it for sure. I have to do it. You know, I don't want to be in the same division, weight class division as my brother. So I have to go down or go up. You know.
yeah, and people will watch you. They'll follow the stories. They're gonna, people on here. They already like it. They're like, we're looking forward to watching the Guajardo brothers. I think that's really neat that you guys fight on the same cards, and
Yeah.
be
Yeah,
like.
like the Diaz brothers.
Exactly. Be like the next Diaz brothers. People like that. Yeah, the camaraderie and everything. How long have you guys been fighting together? Did one of you start fighting before the other one?
No, we actually started at the same time in Mexico, but we did only boxing. You know, once we moved over here like 5 years ago, we went to a little MMA gym, but we just went for like maybe 3 to 4 months. But then like 2 years later we got on it again. But we just been going like sometimes we go like a year and then we stop like for 6 months, you know, and then we go again. But now we're not gonna stop no more, you know. We're gonna keep going, keep going.
Yeah, you guys are young. You're in your early 20s. How old are you?
I'm 20 and he's 21.
Oh yeah, you guys have tons of time to conquer the world, conquer the MMA world. What's the biggest difference? What's the biggest transition you guys think from boxing to MMA?
I think that I think that when in boxing, once you get tired, you know, your opponent sees that he got you or something, he goes at it, you know. And in MMA, I think that's the hard thing about boxing. And in MMA, if they do that, you can hug them or take them down, you know. You have a different, but I think in MMA the punches hurt more, you know, kicks, everything. You can get knocked out stiff, you know. So
Well, you
I don't
got
know.
those small 4-ounce gloves, yeah.
Yeah, in boxing, I think you have to have better condition because, you know, once you get hit, the dude is going to go after you. And in MMA, it's a little bit different. You can take them down or something different, you know. But I think MMA can get you knocked out really quick and stiff, you know.
Yeah, definitely. Did some of the guys at your camp when you were coming in, did they really attack you on your takedowns at first since you were only in boxing?
Yeah, they would go at it all the time, and we would get frustrated. I don't know how you say it, but we would get like, you know, we didn't know anything, but we learn. Everybody would beat us all the time, and that's how we got a little better. You know, I'm not saying we're the best, but we're getting better, so we'll get better.
Yeah, definitely. You guys definitely progressing quickly from the boxing, and like I said, that this fight for you, Hector, was just leaps and bounds. Honestly, I mean, you landed good shots. Like I said, you're boxing, but you switched up so much in this one. You switched up. I thought even beyond your takedown defense was your stance was different. Like I said, it looked like an MMA fighter stance. In the fight before, it looked a little bit more like a boxer stance. And you just got to make sure not to grab the shorts when they're going for the takedown. You get in trouble for that. I'm just teasing.
Bro.
It's easy. They're right there, right?
Yeah, it's hard though, but yeah, we're gonna improve, brother. And our dream is to make it to the UFC, and we're gonna do it. You know.
Hey, well, I'm glad to have had you guys on here first. I'm glad to have found you guys. Guys are great, polite. I love to have you guys on the show a lot in the future. And I hadn't really heard of California Cage Wars. When I seen it, I thought we were talking about Cage Warriors, honestly, which is a different federation. Yeah, different company. But this was a good company. It looked like they knew what they were doing. They actually had some of the UFC refs and everything in there. I was impressed with the organization. And you got a nice belt to go with it. So.
Yeah, it feels good, bro.
Yeah.
I'm a defenders with all my heart.
I have to work hard to get one too, and I'll get it too. Watch.
Yeah, you'll be the brothers with the belts. You know, walk up in the club and say, "Look, ladies, you got some world champions here." No.
Yeah, we'll make it happen. You know, my brother already did it, so that gives me more, you know, motivation and everything. You know, so I'll get one too. You know, I have to work my way up. Right now, I'm I have one victory and 2 losses right now, but I'll get back. 2 losses by decision.
We're having some technical difficulties here. This Skype, just not really. OBS really does not like Skype. Difficulties here. This Skype. I'm not sure. I'm not In-N-Out Burger represent. God, I want some In-N-Out Burger. That sounds freaking delicious. So it looks like we might have lost him here, unfortunately. So they might call back in. We'll go to the. We'll go to the regular Fights with Friends background here, and I still can't figure out. I think I actually need 2 webcams to be able to do do a Skype call and then continue to be on the video afterwards. But that was sweet. I really like those guys. I hope all the success for them. Really nice guys, and I'm glad Hector was able to get his belt. Yeah, it's the Guajardo brothers, 7. It's Hector Guajardo and Angel Guajardo. They generally fight. Oh, it sounds like he's coming back on here. Oh yeah, it's going back and forth. The Call's still on. Can you hear me? I'm going to go ahead and end it, guys. Looks like we're having some technical difficulties here. Oh, you there? All right. Hey, well, thanks for being on the show. We're having some technical difficulties here, but I'll talk to you both real soon. Thank you, Hector and Angel. Congratulations again, Hector. And we'll have you on again on the show soon. Take care, guys. All right. They were still on there, but they were freezing there. Yeah, Zoltan, man, I wish we had an In-N-Out Burger here in Washington. I love In-N-Out Burger. I'm glad if they're going out and eating burgers and fries, though. It's a good place, not without all those GMOs and greasy crap. So I know I want to do that more for some of these guys, give them publicity. Some of these guys coming up, Zoltan. Title of the stream is Title Off Though XD. Yeah, I was trying to change it, and I was having some issue with that. But we're on anyway, so we'll continue the stream. What did you guys think of Kevin Lee and Edson Barbosa this weekend? I didn't watch it live, of course, because I didn't stream. I was out with Matt Horwich and some other MMA guys, some other friends, and actually one of movie producers. That's why I wanted to meet with these guys. I just scheduled it on the wrong day. Not a movie producer, but he does fight. He does some fight choreography, and he's got some connections with some producers. So that was an interesting thing. But I rewatched the fights. I watched the Kevin Lee versus Edson Barbosa fight. Kevin was dominant, much more dominant than I thought he was going to be. I actually picked Edson Barbosa in that fight. What's going on, Stewie? You're late. You missed the interview with the Guajardo brothers, the next Diaz brothers. Now, I thought Khabib did much better versus Barbosa than Lee did. So he did finish him, though. Lee finished the fight via stoppage, but wasn't as dominant as Khabib's. I didn't think his takedowns were definitely as dominant. He had some brutal ground and pound at times. I liked where he was able to hold Edson Barbosa down and very violently strike him, where he'd hold him behind the head there. There's some good techniques there, but yeah, I don't think his wrestling was as dominant as Khabib. His ground and pound was amazing. Excuse me. Yes, he did get clipped. Zoltan, he got clipped with that spinning heel kick to the head. Edson Barbosa caught him with the heel. I watched that from two different angles I found online. And yeah, he caught him with the heel on the head. And he knew Kevin Lee had said before he was watching out for that shot. And he still got caught. So that's how good Edson Barbosa is. But obviously he definitely needs to work on his takedown defense. Everybody knew that was the plan coming in. What's going on, Cap? How you doing, man? Says Zoltan, but Kevin's stand-up was way better than Khabib's. Yes, Kevin's stand-up, and that's the thing, to be able to stand up with Edson Barbosa the way he did was very impressive. Because of who's hurt out there right now, Tony Ferguson, the guys that aren't able to fight, and then you look at the guys that do want to fight, I think Kevin Lee's the number one contender right now, to be honest. I would love to see that fight with him and Khabib. And it might happen. Yeah, Dustin Poirier jumped in there at a good time. He fought Justin Gaethje. I mean, he was ranked number 7 before that fight, though. I still think maybe he needs one more fight before that to solidify a number 1 contender position, or maybe Kevin Lee, you know. I mean, we got to find Khabib an opponent. That's the thing. You know, but Kevin Lee and Dustin Poirier, that's a great fight. The winner of that would definitely have earned a title shot. Zoltan says, I think Khabib has better striking than Lee, though. I disagree, Zoltan. I thought he was given plenty of chances to show his striking against Al, and I know that that performance has been over criticized, but I thought he could have showed more. I think Kevin Lee would have taken Al out that night. Those jabs and lead uppercuts Lee can't deal with. How, Zoltan? I like Khabib, but his striking ain't on Lee level. Mike, did you watch the podcast with Joe Rogan earlier? I watched part of it. I haven't got a chance to watch the whole thing yet because it was live going in and out. And I actually just today, I was off today, I just watched the Kevin Lee, Edson Barbosa fight and the Frankie Edgar Cub Swanson fight today. So I'll finish watching it later, but I did hear him say a few things. Including talking about he was worried about getting caught by that spinning heel kick, and he got caught by a spinning heel kick. But Zoltan says, nah, man, Khabib was just smarter than Lee, not striking as much or wrestling more dominant. Doesn't mean his striking's not good. Yeah, I think Khabib would pick apart Lee with jabs and leaping uppercuts and take Lee down at will. I think we see that fight eventually, gentlemen, and it'll be fun. It's fun to not have everybody picking the same guy. I'm not saying I'm picking Kevin Lee at this point. I mean, I would make Khabib a favorite going into that fight right now. I think his wrestling's so dominant. And, I kind of agree a little more. I think Kevin Lee's shown more in the stand-up lately, but Khabib... The thing with Khabib is that's just going to push him that much further, that much of it undue criticism of his dominating performance against Al Iaquinta. I think he's just going to push the stand-up that much more, and he's going to come back to be that much of a better fighter. Lee would do better at 170, but he says his frame's too small for it on JRE. You guys both beat me to that interview. Like I said, I watched just a little bit of it. I really like it. I really like a lot of these guys. That's such a competitive division right now, and we got Tony Ferguson sidelined, and we still got there's people. Dustin Poirier could walk in there and beat any of those guys. Anybody can beat anybody right now. Like I said, I think Khabib, he is the legitimate favorite. He's the champ. But matchups against Kevin Lee, against Dustin Poirier, them fighting each other, that Irish McNuts ever decides to get into the game and step in there, I mean, there's a spot for him, which supposedly they're in negotiations of a contract, but with Conor, I never believe anything until I see it at this point. I'm just not really sure he wants to fight. Zoltan says Tony is never going to come back the same. You can't recover from that type of injury at 34. Generally, I guess that injury is not that bad, except for the way it happened when it happened with Tony Ferguson. Dana White was saying that injury, it's not an ACL or an MCL. I can't remember exactly what it was called. I said, generally, it doesn't even require surgery, but the way he fell and it was so severe that it ripped it all the way off the bone. I seen some scars in the surgery. I seen some of the melee in different pictures, and he's completely messed up. Hopefully, he can come back and be, close to what he was. Zoltan says, especially because his awkward movement and subs require flexible knees. That's a good point. And that was his big argument, everybody's big argument over him, having a chance against Khabib. I figured that was his chance, was Khabib had to get through 5 rounds of not getting submitted, and that's definitely going to, definitely going to hold him back, I would think. Zoltan says, it was off the bone ACL, worse than a normal ACL injury. Yeah, that's scary. What is going on, Tim Hard? How you doing, man? You're going to have to tune in later and watch that interview with the Guajardo brothers. I had them on. They fight for California Cage Warriors. And two good fighters. I put Hector's last 2 fights up, commentate them. They're on the channel if you guys want to see them too. California Cage Warriors. I had permission to reuse their videos, so I just did my own commentating over it. Zoltan says, personally, I think Tony is out of the picture. The Khabib, Lee, and Poirier and Conor is X Factor. Yeah, there's a lot of talent, definitely, at that weight. Paul Felder thinks he's still in there. People are talking Paul Felder. I don't think Paul Felder's at that level. These guys are really good. I don't know that people really realize how fortunate we are that we have 4 guys that are completely capable of dominating, of being champion and possibly dominating the division if they were at different times. And they're all together. This is going to create so many big fights, so many money fights. Max is talking about coming up. Excuse me. Of course, that leaves 145 wide open, but Max is a tough matchup for any of them. He walks around heavy. He loses a lot of weight to get to 145. I'm sure he'd be more than happy, at least weight-wise, to go up to 155. Tim says, I train with Stam Stout and Mark Hominick, good guys. Where are they training at now, Tim? Yeah, I really love both those guys. Sam Stout has been in some wars, too, and Hominick's, he's one of the pioneers for sure. Kevin Lee did a pretty damn good job, even being rocked. Yeah, he really got caught. And that's the thing. I don't know that Khabib can catch him like that. And he came back. Kev said, I would do Lee versus Khabib, Eddie versus Poirier, too. Gaethje versus Barbosa. I don't think anybody would argue with that. Stewie, where is the Dutch guy? That's the $1 million question, man. If you guys find him, let me know. I'm about to call somebody and have him go check his house. I actually tried to Skype him today. He's been very busy with school. I know he had a lot of big classes coming up. He told me he was going to be unavailable for a little while. I didn't think this long. And then he was out of the country, and then some school things. So I'm sure he's going to be getting back at it here soon. Adrenaline here in London, Ontario. Oh, okay. Oh, he's in Ontario. Both of them are. Interesting. A lot of these guys have moved overseas. I've been trying to track down for an interview the disappearing David Tank Abbott, and he's been in several places since he quit his podcast a couple of years ago. A lot of these guys move out of the States though, and they like it in different places. So if he wants to be left alone, I'll leave him alone. But I thought he was one of the greatest pioneers. I loved watching him fight growing up, David Tank Abbott. I know that's off subject, but I missed both these main events. I picked Edson Barbosa and I picked Cub Swanson. I thought it was too early for Frankie. I thought that possibly he was shot and got old overnight. He is 36. And I thought that if he beat Cub Swanson, it was going to be by the takedowns on the feet. I was wrong on all of those things. Edgar, he went for some takedowns for distractions. He outfought Cub Swanson on his feet. So I think he really wanted to come back and make a statement. Say, hey, yeah, Brian Ortega's good, but I just got caught. And he comes back and dominates, just less than a couple months later. That being said, how good is Brian Ortega? And he will be fighting for the championship. Now, that match is getting signed. Brian Ortega and Max Holloway. That's going to be an incredible fight. I'm not sure who I got. I think I would favor Max, but I don't know. Ortega's just on fire right now. He's whacked so many guys right now that he's just incredible. He might be just about unstoppable right now. He might be in a zone, and if he walks through Max Holloway, then people really need to be scared. They need to be scared at 145 and 155 because that guy's a monster. Zoltan says Khabib said he wants September or later, so I think Eddie versus Lee. What's going on, Comedic Genius? Having some issues with this damn Skype earlier, but we finally got it going for the Guajardo brothers. You can see their interview later, but I said Hector Guajardo won a Cage Warriors amateur championship, and those guys are coming up the right way. They were both boxers in Mexico. They're coming up slow, learning in the amateurs before they get too exposed. And I said, I can't say enough with the progression of Hector from his fight before to this fight. Both the fights are up on the channel. I commentated both of them. The most recent one that's uploaded was Saturday's fight. The other fight was his fight before that. And I said, definitely a huge difference. Anyways, Lee versus Poirier. That's, man, there are so many good fights. Like I said, you could make at that weight, even with Tony Ferguson being injured, and that sucks because he could be the top guy out there. Also, he's capable of beating any of those guys. I hope he comes back. I hope he's able to come back and get some wins and, get the best doctors and recovery possible. Comedian Genius says, come on, Mikey. You had me go to MMA holes on Saturday. It was miserable. Hey, I decided maybe after the 420 stream, maybe I shouldn't do drugs. I wasn't thinking clearly. Some guys were in town. Matt Horowitz, some other MMA guys that I know, though, I was talking about earlier. One I really wanted to meet that's fight choreography guy that's got some connections with some film directors. The only issue was it was all my bad. I scheduled the dinner, the appointment, and I scheduled it for 6 p.m. on Saturday. And after I scheduled with everybody, it was maybe 30 minutes, an hour later, I was like, oh shit. That's the Kevin Lee versus Edson Barbosa fight. And I was like, damn. Want to see Lee versus Khabib. Lee been calling him out for like 2 years. I like Khabib, but I think Kevin could knock him out or submit him. That's a great fight. I can't imagine we're not going to see that fight eventually. And honestly, I think Kevin leapfrogs Dustin. The only reason we might see them, that we might see them fight each other first is that Kevin had lost to Tony Ferguson. But he'd had a horrible staph infection in that fight. He didn't do too bad with it either. Ortega will be the next champ. Kid is a beast, said Tim Hart. He definitely could be, man. That guy is a wrecking train. Zoltan said, I doubt Lee will wait till September or later because Poirier could be eligible and could fight Eddie and get the shot. Yeah, we forget Eddie Alvarez is calling everybody out there also, and he matches up well with a lot of these guys. And just because he got beat by Conor doesn't mean he doesn't match up well with some of these other guys. MMA math doesn't always make sense. And, Eddie's one of the best ever at that weight. So many wars in Bellator, and then came into the UFC, won the championship. I mean, that guy's been one of the best pound-for-pound fighters in the world for probably a decade or more. So I'd never underestimate him. That's the thing. You got 5 guys there. You know, what happens down at, was it 135? I don't know. After Frankie Edgar beats Cub Swanson, I was very surprised the way Frankie beat Cub. I did not expect him to pick him apart like that standing up. Not that I didn't think he could. I just thought that Cub was the better striker, and that Edgar would have to get the takedowns. Cap says Eddie should fight Poirier. They have unfinished business anyways. That's a great fight, and that makes sense to me. That makes sense to me, Cap. Put Kevin Lee in there against Khabib, and then put Eddie and Poirier in there. They've already, you know, they have the one fight. Like you said, they both want to fight each other, and then the winner of that fights the winner of Khabib and Lee. I don't think too many people could argue with that. Community Genius says, I can look it up, but I won't. When and who on the next card. Thursday. Don't forget Thursday. This Thursday's MMA Live at 5 is not going to be MMA Live at 5. We got that Cam Soda stream. We got Felony. I won't say the other word. Charles Felony Bennett versus Bruce the Lion Lutchmeadle on Cam Soda. And then you have some other guys there. You got Rico Rodriguez. That's what it is. Former UFC champion. He's fighting a guy, the Spartans is his nickname. I can't remember his other name. I've been so enthralled with the drama between Charles Felony Bennett and Bruce the Lion. And make no mistake, I've been talking to Bruce. He's hearing everything that Charles says. He's been on a stream some. We've talked back and forth. I'm not trying to play any favorites there, but he's watching what's going on there. And I've been watching Felony's streams. Felony is on like a 6-fight losing streak. That's the thing. See, I think I missed Zoltan. He says, yeah, and they will be more relevant than Lee if Lee tries to wait for Khabib after September when Khabib wants to fight. I just think it's a gamble Lee shouldn't take. I don't know. I don't know. I think Lee should just take the title shot if he can get it. Yeah, Felony is on a 6-fight losing streak. He tells me he's training more. I don't know what to believe from the streams and things that I see. We are kind of back on talking terms after the whole, me calling him that name, that horrible name that must be the worst thing anybody's ever been called. But anyways, I'll digress from that. Says he's training better. He says he's been, training his wrestling and things. He doesn't want a whole lot out there about what he's training. He does look in a lot better shape than he did 6 weeks ago. I will say that. And he's always been a guy that's been put in there as a feeder. Tough matchups. I think this has kind of been the most stable home life and camp life he's had for a while. He's had a few regular training partners here. And I don't know, though. Bruce is, he's very focused. He's very determined. Definitely no love lost between those guys. Stewie's Felony Gang. He definitely has an entertaining stream. Zoltan says, he's not in here. Yo, can say crazy horse now. Don't be scared, homie. Yeah, no, I just like to make a joke out of it because he's so sensitive about it. It's hilarious. I've been on the stream. He'll still give me shit on his stream every once in a while, even though we've talked since then. I was trying to help him with his issues on Super Chat. We were doing a live remote thing on his computer for like an hour the other day. I was helping him out, and then I go in there on his stream. He still talks shit to me, but it's all a show. He's, we're on speaking terms, anyways. That's what I'll say. I hope the best for him. I've been helping him try to figure out how to monetize that stream more, but he'd get more money from the PayPal, anyways. The super chat actually takes a little bigger cut. Cap says, you heard about the rumors of Nick Diaz versus Bisping. Good comeback fight for Nick. They must be new. They must be today. I kind of heard a lot of names thrown out there about a comeback fight for Nick Diaz. I really like that. That's a great comeback fight for him. Because he needs to come in there. He's been out for so long. He needs to come in there against, not a top 5 guy, not a top tier murderer right now. He needs to get his feet underneath him. But it's really hard to do that in the UFC. Because this is supposed to be, this is the major leagues. And guys don't even, in boxing, guys get away with it all the time. They have tune-up fights, 7, 8 tune-up fights. Some of these guys are 20-0, they've had 20 tune-up fights. But MMA guys don't get away with it as much. I think that's a great fight. Great comeback fight for him. It might not be such a bad fight for Bisping to go out on either. Nick doesn't have tremendous power. So, I don't think Nick's going to devastate him. The injury risk is lower. Nick's more of a technician. Stewie says he's always roasting you and full-time MMA. Full-time MMA's in there like all the time. Every time I go on there, too, full-time MMA's in there. That's hilarious. Comedian Genius is my favorite fight. I'm looking forward to Black Beast versus Predator. Dude, that might be my favorite fight, too. Thank the MMA gods that they made that fight. Derek Lewis, I'm sure you guys have all seen it now. Derek Lewis, the Black Beast fighting Francis Ngannou at UFC, I believe, 225. Thank the MMA gods. That is going to be fucking incredible. Excuse me, I should have gotten a little more drink here. There, I got something there. Yeah, that fight is so freaking awesome. But I'm glad I'm not the only one. I'm looking forward to that more than the damn main event, more than like any fight out there right now. That is such a fun fight. And it could go either way. I hope Derek Lewis doesn't try to take him down. I hope they just stand there and bang for, I don't know if it could go 15 minutes. But, man, that's a firecracker for sure. Cap says, I like both of them, but I think Ngannou wins first round knockout. He could. If Lewis gets hurt, Lewis does have some wrestling to fall back on. Francis, as we've seen, really doesn't. I really like both those guys. That's my only problem is I like both those guys so much that I don't want to see one of them lose. The good part about that is I think people overreacted to Francis Ngannou's loss to Stipe. I knew that Stipe was going to dominate him. You never know anything in fights, but I was saying it. You guys were listening. I was saying it for a long time that I thought Stipe was really going to dominate him, and it actually really upset me that they had Francis as a favorite. And when you listened to the pundits before the fight, the real professional guys, most of them behind closed doors were, hey, Stipe. His wrestling's just, it's too much for Francis. But, Francis could definitely take him out in the first round. As much as I like Black Beast, too, he's talked about retirement. He is getting a little older. So that would be a great springboard win for Francis Ngannou. That gets his name right back in there. He gets an exciting win over Derek Lewis. And he doesn't have to fight for a title right away. Not everybody has to be fighting for a title every year to be exciting. We got like 700 some guys on the roster. Sometimes we just have to enjoy the fights. Who cares if it's a 10-11 guy like Paul Felder and Al Iaquinta, like I would still like to see. those are still the 10th and 11th best guys in the whole frickin' world at that weight. You're going to see a damn good matchup. Who cares if they're not going to win a belt? I liked watching guys at the end of their career like Chris Lieben, even though after he lost some of it. Vanderlei still. Bad matchup against Chael Sonnen, but I don't know if he's got anything left or not. Winner of this fight, Brock. I agree. I think they probably do, Cap, and that's an incredible matchup because I have a feeling that Brock could beat Francis Ngannou if he can take him down. He's so big. If he cannot get knocked out, he's so big. His wrestling would be even more dominant than Stipe's was because it's going to be harder to get up. You got Brock that walks around at 300 pounds. And the guy literally cuts probably 30 pounds to make the 265-pound limit. That's ridiculous that you're cutting 35, 40 pounds. And I know his walk-around weight in WWE is closer to 330. That's an enormous human being to take you down and have on top of you. No, thank you. Community Genius says, okay, that's a good question. Favorite fighter who never held the belt? Favorite fighter that never held the belt? For me, I think that's pretty easy. That's Chris Lieben was my favorite fighter that never held the belt. I just followed his story. For some reason, I always rooted for the guy. Even though he's been snubbing me for an interview on the show, he's very busy right now. He just had a new kid. So I'm not trying to get petty. I'm the only one here. Nobody here to let that damn dog out. So give me just a second. That's the next thing I need to invest in is a damn doggy door. But it's going to be a big one. I got my dog's like freaking 130 pounds. He's a big ass freaking mutt. But Comedic says I'm scratching my head. Taint while he's gone. Oh geez. Yeah, Chris Lieben was not a world beater by any means, but like I said, fighters that haven't won a belt, he was probably my favorite because I watched him coming up on The Ultimate Fighter. That show first week was kind of a wreck this week too. I did the Ultimate Fighter Companion. I got to say, I was pretty disappointed. I didn't like the format. The fight was good. I wish they'd do 2 fights per show if they're going to waste that much time, though. And seemed like they had 40 minutes of commercials. I hope this week's better. This Thursday, but convenience says just low kick your door. Boom, instant doggy door. Yeah. Not surprising, Stewie. You don't say. Well, thanks for coming in, man. Even if you are high. But, yeah, a lot of big fights. We forget to talk about the big one coming up this Saturday. Fedor Emelianenko and Frank Mir. Holy shit. Of course, you would have much rather seen that fight 10 years ago. But I think it's still going to be entertaining. Frank Mir looked like old TRT Frank Mir, though. They were showing him in training and in some of those behind the scenes. I can't remember what Bellator calls it. It's like the UFC one, but they have a different name for it. But they've had like 3 episodes, I think, behind the scenes of those guys training and different things. And oh, Genie says, okay, oh, that's here in Chicago. Yeah, a lot of fights coming up in Chicago. That one, and of course UFC 225. But not a big undercard coming out for that one for Bellator. But anytime you get a chance to see Fedor before he's gone fight, man, we're fortunate. I know he's really getting up there in years. I hope he's able to train. What do you guys think about the TRT exemption for these older guys? I kind of liked it. TRT, it's not steroids. You're letting these guys, get up to the testosterone levels, to normal testosterone levels. So I kind of liked what it did, for the fight game at least. I'm not sure it's fair for the younger guys. Stewie says Kevin Lee dancing that chicken dance was funny as hell. Hell yeah, it was. But yeah, I know the argument for the TRT. A lot of these guys that had the exemptions really started mowing through people, like Vitor and some other ones. And there's the argument, of course, that, hey, these guys have had their whole lives to learn all these techniques and get good. And the younger guys are like, that's our advantage, is that we got more testosterone and we got, youth and speed. Still doesn't make you 25. It does things to help you, but TRT does not make you 25. There's things that you can't bring back, like reflex, speed and reflexes. It can definitely bridge the gap. Community Genius says there should be an agreement type deal. Well, there was a deal. There was the TRT exemption put in place. And for some reason, they decided to get rid of it. I don't even know why they got rid of it. I don't have an issue with it, but especially, you talk like an agreement type deal. That's the kind of thing where we could see like some kind of, I don't want to call it senior league, but that's basically what Bellator is right now for the most part. They have some good younger guys like Rory McDonald, but they have a lot of these guys that were just too old to compete in the UFC anymore. And if they're fighting each other and they're both on TRT, what's the harm? Joe Rogan was saying he's taken TRT for, I think, like 15 years now. He's 50. He says, in most of my workouts, I feel like I'm 30, 35. That's pretty outstanding. And he gets his blood work done regularly. I know he's constantly hooked up to all kinds of machines and stuff. And there's no side effects from what I can see. Before the sell, they wanted to clean up the sport to seem more legit for selling purpose. I think I kind of remember hearing something about that and the timing and stuff. I disagree with cleaning it up in that part. You know what? Bellator wants to jump in though. Have the TRT exemption. They're not under USADA. They are under the commissions. So I think they may have twisted the arms of some of these commissions that maybe they're not allowing it. But like I said, looking at Frank Mir in those behind-the-scenes episode, he looked like 28-year-old Frank Mir. He was looking ripped. So, who doesn't want to see TRT Tour over the V-Tour we have now with the, saggy tits and looks like he's 50 years old and too old to be walking around on the beach with the shirt off. Give it to him. If you've done the tests and it's not going to, do the long-term damages, it's natural testosterone in your body. I know one of the arguments is that a lot of these guys that they say need TRT. is because they naturally have low testosterone because they did steroids in the past. Well, if our testing has been good enough now, USADA and some of these different things have been good enough now um, for a long time, or a decent amount of time, anyways. Um, let these guys do the TRT. Maybe they did have some issues with steroids in the past or whatever. You haven't caught them. You can't prove it. You're not banning from the sport. Let's make these guys at least, if they're going to go in there, I want to see them go on there and put on a good show. I don't want to see everybody look like BJ Penn coming back and getting lit up. Vitor Machida should. That's exactly what I was thinking of, Comedic Geniuses. No one is looking forward to Vitor and Machida because they're shot fighters. They both looked horrible in their past fights. And somebody's most likely going to win that fight unless it's a draw. But I don't think anybody's expecting a barn burner. Shogun too. Yeah, Shogun's slowing down. He says he's making another run of the title. He's still quite a bit younger than these other guys. He's I think 33, but he's got a lot of miles on him from those long Pride tournaments. He's taken a lot of shots over the years, and he started very young. I mean, I'm trying to do math when they tell me he's 33, 34. I'm like, wait, how can I be older than him? 5 years older than him, nonetheless. I'm like, this guy seems like he's been fighting since I was a kid. But, no, he's only 34. You take that many shots for that long, though, and you do start to slow down. Plus, he hasn't evolved. Yeah, that's a good point. He's still got the same kind of fighting style. That's why, with that fighting style, that's why I knew he was going to get murdered against Jones. And I know that's been quite a few years now since he lost the belt to Jones. So maybe Shogun's 35, because I think that could have been probably 7 years ago when Shogun was 28. Something like that. But yeah, he really still has the same kind of style that he had over there in Pride. But who do you guys think wins? Open it up. Who wins Fedor and Frank Mir? I kind of feel like maybe Mir has more left. He was on the shelf for a little while. Old school shootbox style. Yep, exactly, Comedic. Yeah. Does Fedor have a shot at this? I mean, I hate to count Fedor out, but I mean, he's bigger. He looks more athletic. I think he's a little younger. He definitely fights like he's younger. He could be stronger at this point. He could be, man, I hate to underestimate Fedor, but he's really gotten up there. And he's not looked good in his last two fights. Of course, the loss to Matt Mitrione, and then his comeback fight that he was really supposed to dominate. And I can't remember the name of the guy right now, but most people thought that he lost that fight. And it was supposed to be kind of a tune-up fight to come back to. Go back to Russia where they let you take any supplements you want. You can be roided to the gills. But nonetheless, it's a good fight. Like I said, Emmanuel Sanchez and Sam Cecilia is the co-main event on that. That's featherweight bout. That's a great fight. There's really three fights that I'm really looking forward to seeing in this Bellator card this Saturday. John Salter, Rafael Lovato Jr. Yeah, it's a bonus. Lovato is 7-0. I'm not real excited about that one. The one I'm really excited about is to see Neiman Gracie. Javier Torres versus Neiman Gracie. This is a more legit Gracie. than I can't remember the name of the other guy that was out there a couple weeks ago that lost. But Neiman Gracie, yeah, he's 7-0. He's got 6 submissions. He's got a sick game. He's got enough of a stand-up game to make it interesting too. So this will be a good week. Good week for that. All right, you guys got to pick Fedor and Frank Mir, and you got to pick. We've been talking about it for how long now? 3 months. You got to pick a winner between Felony Bennett and Bruce Lachmedio. Okay, question. What's next for Justin G? Justin Gaethje. He came out after that fight, I know, against Dustin Poirier, and he said, if you want to see me, do it quickly, because I only got probably 4 or 5 more fights left in me. So he knows he's not even going to try, I guess, to adjust to a different style of fight. He likes to continue to come forward. He wants that lifestyle, I guess, to continue to come forward. And he's like, I'm content to go out on my shield. You'll see me 4 or 5 more times, and then I'll be done. That being said, guys, for him to fight, who's not going to take him down, who's going to stand there with him. I don't know. A few fights ago, I would have said he would have never had a chance against this guy. But what do you guys think about Justin Gaethje and Edson Barboza? And that's got to be an exciting fight, right? Comedic Gene says Mir. I'd say Mir too. Gaethje versus Barboza is most logical matchup, both on 2-fight losing streaks. We are in sync, Cap. You'd almost think that I read your comment first, but I really just thought of that at the same time. I think that's a great fight. I think that's the one that needs to happen. And for 2 guys on 2-fight losing streaks, that still could be one of the most exciting fights out there. Like I said, everybody doesn't have to be in contention for a title to have the best fights out there. All right, Cap, I guess I wasn't paying attention. Said it like an hour ago. Fine. Maybe I did see it subconsciously and I stole it in my mind. It's a good fight nonetheless. Gaethje could get caught with a lot of things coming in. If he can be quite not so reckless, I would definitely like to see that against Barboza, because Barboza I could see him picking him apart with counters, though, with the spinning back fists and elbows and spin kicks. But yeah, it would definitely be a hell of a fight, and it's not going the distance, no matter what happens. But yeah, I said the next week we're all gonna get together Thursday. You can watch that one free online on the Cam Soda website. It's like Legends /camsoda.com, something like that. I think I put the link in the promo video I did on it. And you can donate to fighters. You can buy some of their coins if you want an excuse to your wife to say, hey, how come you got these tokens that you buy to give to strippers? And be like, no, really, I was giving them to fighters. It's all about fighting on a porn site. So it's still kind of weird, but I can't wait to see those two get in there against each other. Like I said, I hope Charles is at a better camp. I know Bruce has been training his ass off. He owns his own gym. Guy's training like 3-4 times a day. Plus he's working like 3 freaking jobs. Guy's an animal. Guy's an absolute animal. One of the most stand-up guys that I've met in the game so far, and just seems like a really, really great guy. I can't wait to see those two go at it. Felony, obviously, kind of nearing the end of his career, though. And Bruce has got a long ways to go. He had thought about not fighting anymore, and then took a couple more fights, got that fire once he got his gym. He got that fire back underneath him, and he said now, he wants to get into the UFC. So, all right, Mikey, that's it for me later, Mike. All right, we'll see you later, Comedic Genius. Thanks for tuning in, man. Well, thanks for tuning in, everybody. Like I said, I will try not to miss another UFC. I will try not to double book myself. Thanks again to the Guajardo brothers. Congratulations to Hector Guajardo. We'll be looking forward. As soon as I know who Angel's fighting in that boxing match on May 12th, I'll let you guys know. If you haven't watched Hector's 2 fights that are on there, one of them is only a 3-minute round. They're 3-minute rounds. One of them's a 3-round fight. This championship one, this last one was a 5-minute fight or 5-round fight. I thought it was great to watch and see the evolution, between those 2 fights, and as he evolves from being a boxer to an MMA guy. And I think they're going about it the right way, starting in that amateur league, which California Cage Warriors, I said, I was very impressed by their venue and everything they're putting together there. Man, I talked to my coworker about you, but they never show the love. I try, Mikey. Well, thank you, Comedic Genius. I can be a tough sell. I can be a tough sell. Oh, that being said, before you leave, Comedic Genius, I really don't want this channel and everybody that's in here to be known as the 420 channel. And that's kind of what it looks like with like 6 videos in a row. So I'll leave it up there for probably another day. And by the end of tomorrow, all that stuff comes down. So if you haven't seen the 420 streams and everything on that, watch them now. Show those to your friends. Maybe they'll like watching me make an ass of myself. But those will be gone. Forget the stream. God, if I ever apply for a job in the future, any kind of interview, it's just not the first thing I want people to see when they see my channel. So it was a fun little thing. I may do it again next year. I don't know. Like I said, I was a little disappointed with myself that I kind of made some bad decisions and forgot about a fight week and double book myself. So I don't know if I'll do that again ever. But me says coworkers. I understand, Mikey. I was there with you for the 420 show. I remember parts of it. I don't know if I want to rewatch and relive that. But yeah, at the end of tomorrow, like I said, I'll take it down. But thanks everybody for coming on today. I will definitely be here Thursday. Don't forget, we're going to start MMA Live at 5, just like usual. And then at 6 p.m., that Cam Soda MMA show will start. So we'll just transition right into that. And, we got some skin in those fights. So it should be a fun night. And then right on to Fedor and Frank Mir on Saturday. So another action-packed week. I will see you guys soon. As always, I love you. I respect you. And I'll see your fine asses later.